Welcome to Programming for Normal People. I'm Steve. Today we're going to talk about primitive data versus objects. If you don't yet have a good understanding of variables, I highly recommend you go back and watch my variables video first. Okay, so in my variables video, I showed several different examples, some of which were primitive data and some of which were objects. Objects hold both the information and they hold some methods, which are actions. There are a few methods that every object has to have, but they don't have to have any additional methods. They may just be a collection of some information. Good example, in a video game you might have a hero, and some information about that hero could be their name, could be how strong they are, could be how much health they have left, could be some attacks that they can do. Other information about them is all the data that's stored in them, and those data things can be primitive values or they can be other objects. Methods are the things that they can do. A hero can attack the bad guys. They can move around the screen. They can maybe interact with the environment, maybe pick stuff up. Another big difference between primitive data and objects is how you create one. When you create an integer, you just say int, my integer name, so count, equals 5. It just takes 5, sticks into that. When you create a new hero, you'd probably have to say hero, my hero, is equal to new hero. And that calls what's called the constructor method for the hero class. It creates a hero, sets all the information up, usually creates some base information. All that information stuff that the hero has to have, they'll put some default values into those. A more complex constructor could put some of that information in instead of the default. I'll have another video later that's going to talk about constructor methods. That's not really purview of this video. I just kind of want to mention that they're there. Another big difference is how they're stored in memory. When you create a variable or a primitive data, it just takes that information that you're putting in it and sticks it right in memory. It's usually just a couple bytes of information, so it doesn't take up much space. When it creates a constructor, it's going to use its working memory to just create a little pointer to somewhere else, which can carve out a bigger chunk of memory to store all that information. And in a lot of programming languages, if you stop using that, you need to go and delete that part of memory that's carved out. Some languages will clean it up for you, some won't. It really just depends on the language that you're using. I think that's a pretty good base overview of primitive data versus objects. I hope that's helpful. Again, please subscribe below or add a comment if you have any questions.